Nuclear war is a very real possibility, and we have to be ready for this. And as a former nuclear specialist in the military, I've compiled a list of items and tips and tricks you won't find anywhere else to be ready for, well, the unthinkable. So let's go through this quick list. Number one is you need to have some duct tape and plastic sheeting. Now, in reality, truth be told, for fallout, you really don't have to have plastic sheeting over your windows and duct tape. I would still recommend it as always because heavy winds can still blow it in, but it doesn't really blow around like dust like you think it does. However, if you're actually near the nuclear blast and the fire and the smoke and all that stuff heads your way, oh yeah, it'll certainly be radioactive. And having that plastic sheeting over your windows works really well. In addition, by the way, if you have a big garden, you could put plastic sheeting over the garden to keep the fallout off your garden. Now, once it rains and gets that fallout out of there, your garden will be good to go. It doesn't like mutate your plants or cause any problems with the radiation. But if that fallout gets in the soil, that's why you have the plastic sheeting, that's really bad news. You can't eat from your garden anymore. So duct tape and plastic sheeting. Secondly is potassium iodide. Now with potassium iodide, and what we're looking at for adults, by the way, and this is right from the CDC, 18 to 40, 130 milligrams per day for 14 days. So 1 pill a day for 2 weeks. If you're over 40, by the way, they tell you that you shouldn't even take potassium iodide. Talk with your doctor instead. I'm over 40. I'm still going to take it. For any kids 12 and up who are greater than 150 pounds, it's same as an adult, 130 milligrams once a day for 14 days. However, if they're 12 through 18 years old and less than 150 pounds, it's half that, 65 milligrams for 14 days. 3 to 12-year-olds are the same, 65 times 14 days. If they're 1 to 3 years old, you need an oral solution, 32 milligrams, and less than a year, oral solution, 16 milligrams. And so I'll link this below, all the other stuff too, by the way. So we have 130 milligram pills here. I buy the big bottles. A lot of people like buying the Iostat, which is kind of expensive. These pills will do exactly the same thing. For the kids, here's the oral solution we're looking at. Now understand, the only thing that the potassium iodide does is protects you from radioactive iodine. There are so many radioactive isotopes in the air after a nuclear detonation or a nuclear plant meltdown. This only protects you for one, radioactive iodine. Besides that, you're also looking at apple pectin. Now in Chernobyl, what happened was there was a bunch of kids sitting around an apple tree munching on apples, and when everybody else got radiated and had the effects from the radiation, these children did not. So there's something in apple pectin, and the research, we don't know still how it works or what's going on, but there's something in the apple pectin that makes it so it blocks your whole body from all the radioactive isotopes, so it would seem anyway. So potassium iodine is just for the iodine. Apple pectin, I'll link some apple pectin pills below in case you want to pick those up. But I'll be honest with you. Will it work? Will it not work? The studies are still out. The next item, which I highly recommend, is a Geiger counter. I love this Geiger counter. It is, relatively speaking, inexpensive. You can get a scintillator, which is much more expensive. For what you're looking at in your basement or trying to stay out of the fallout, this will actually work well enough. And you can hear the proverbial old clicks when it comes to connecting with any type of beta or gamma radiation. Of course, I bring this up. Here's a radioactive source. And now you can see what's going on. And this will tell you basically how much radiation you're getting. And I'm going to recommend getting this along with the case, so that way you can keep this going no matter what. It is rechargeable, so maybe you have a solar generator or something to help you out as well. I also recommend some type of crank radio. There's the really inexpensive one here. I love this radio. I've had it for years. Right over here, I have our radio from American Reserves. But have some kind of crank radio, because when it comes to your area, especially for water safety, they're going to announce bulletins and tell you if the water is safe or not. It's really difficult to know if it is. I always recommend, by the way, a water filter. I like the Katadyn. It's quite expensive, but it'll literally filter out tens of thousands of gallons of water. But obviously, besides that, food and water too. Stockpile food and water. This video is more devoted to simply just nuclear stuff rather than what kind of foods to stockpile. You'll find that all through our other videos, by the way. But having a water filter would be helpful. Also, a face mask, maybe. I even say maybe too. It's the same thing with the plastic sheeting for the windows. You don't really have to worry about inhaling fallout. That's something that for years and years people think you would inhale it. But again, if there's like some ash or soot or something from a fire from a nuclear detonation, having a face mask to cover it will work very well. You don't have to have a really sophisticated one. I'll link one below to work out very well. Next is a Faraday cage. In reality, all you need is this. It's just a metal can to block any type of EMPs. And I also recommend getting some aluminum foil tape for it as well. So instead of going through the details of how to make a Faraday cage, I'll link a video at the end because I've already done that in a different video. Next up is a Faraday bag. Now this is a waterproof and fireproof document bag, but honestly, in reality, it's also a Faraday bag, and I've tested it out. Right now you can see there's actually stuff in here, like a little solar charger and a radio and stuff. So this is a little Faraday bag that you have. I mean, I would recommend if you're on the road or something, you might want to keep this to keep some of your electronics from frying. Unlike what most people think, by the way, they think that there's an EMP, all of your electronics will fry, and that's not true at all. A lot of smaller items like pacemakers will not fry, period, end of story. Pacemakers will be good to go. Test after test after test has proven that. However, small electronics devices, maybe. If they're plugged in the wall, kiss them goodbye. But if they're just kind of sitting out like your cell phone's sitting out, will it fry? It actually stands an excellent chance of surviving. Again, contrary to what most people believe. But to be on the safe side, if you put them in a Faraday bag, that's pretty much going to guarantee that they're not going to fry, except for your pacemaker. Putting that in the bag won't work so well. But again, I really want to stress this. There's been extensive studies, and pacemakers will survive an EMP. I want to make that really clear to make it so you won't freak out over that. But in addition to that bag, if you want to protect your home, your car as well, even though cars, by the way, 95% of brand new cars will still run after an EMP, but that 5% or your home, you can actually protect it using some of the gear right here from American Reserves. They have all kinds of Faraday products to be able to protect you and your family so your devices don't get fried. And then my last item on the list is the Nuclear War Survival Skills book. As a nuclear specialist, I have all that stuff hidden up here in my noggin, but one of my followers told me to buy this book, and I was like, well, why? I already know this stuff, but I bought it anyway. And actually, I was going down to do a talk about the nuclear stuff to a prepping group, and I was like, oh, I'll take the book and read it along the way as my wife drove. It's fantastic. It's actually put up by Oak Ridge Laboratories, which if you know anything about nuclear, those are the guys, by the way. But this book has all kinds of really good information in it, not to mention how to build a bunker and stuff too. So anyways, just a really quick video for you. 11 items per se, and the tips and tricks go along with it in case the inevitable, the unfortunate, oh boy, I couldn't even think about a nuclear war, or at least a single nuclear detonation or a nuclear power plant going down. Unfortunately, in our times, that is a very real possibility. So time very well is short because there's a lot of stuff happening right now. Pick up these items. I linked them below, and I always appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time.